All right, so sorry in advance for any white noise you hear. I got kind of a loud Ethernet switch over there for some reason. But anyway, I thought I'd make a video about this. My good old E-Trac that I bought back in, I think, 2011. I've had it hanging here in the basement for quite some time. Hadn't used to be in a club that met once a month, and we'd get out there and dig all the time. But after having a bunch of kids and such, kind of lost a lot of free time. So it's been hanging here for a while, which is probably partially the cause of what happened. But long story short, I charged up a battery, was checking everything out, threw it in, and when I went to turn it on, all I would get is I believe I saw like a little bit of light on the LCD screen kind of pop on, or a little bit of the display kind of light up. And it made kind of that little fart sound, like that when the speaker gets juice. But that was about it, and wouldn't get any further. So originally I figured, oh, okay, maybe it's the batteries. So I went and found the old AA sled that they provide, and I threw new batteries in here. Checked it with a multimeter, of course. Everything was good. Checked the pins inside the neck of this guy for any corrosion, and didn't have anything there. So originally I wasn't going to attempt to do anything with it myself, but I contacted Minelab, and they told me that they no longer service these since they've been manufacturer discontinued, but they do have an authorized place in Pennsylvania, which is great. It's just unfortunate that everything costs an arm and a leg nowadays, especially if you just wanted to get something simple done. So I didn't really research it a whole lot. I really just wanted Minelab to take it, fix it quick, and ship it back, and send me a bill type of thing. But after I contacted the repair center in Pennsylvania, which, by the way, they were super quick. I mean, I sent a request on their website, and I heard back within an hour, I'm fairly certain. And the guy had just mentioned, he's like, oh, it's probably just a start capacitor or something. I got thinking, oh, I didn't know there was a motor in the thing. But I guess what he was referring to is there's a fairly large capacitor in here, and it must just be for, I don't know, if maybe it kind of acts as a battery and maintains a little bit of juice while the thing's off, or if it's just there to smooth out the voltage as it's flowing through. But uh, anyways, I got me thinking. I thought, well, I'm comfortable with electronics. I'll pop into the thing and see what happens. So honestly, super simple. If you just pop out these 4 screws here underneath, face comes off. Just be careful when you pop it off here. You don't want to pull too hard, as there are the wires for this little guy here is for the speaker, so you can pop him off. This little guy here must have something to do with the headphone, I'm guessing, and maybe, actually, this is what brings the voltage in, and then probably left and right channel audio maybe out of there. And then over here on these little white cords, these must be what come from your probe or coil. So just be careful with this part here. And it does have, or it did have prior to me opening it, it would look like this when you first pop it open. And this guy was just sticking over here. And they did put a little super glue on these to kind of maintain their place, and that way they probably didn't get hot and encroach upon one another inside of there. But anyway, once you remove a little bit of the hot glue on either side of this here, you can kind of pinch these little standoffs in, and you should be able to pop this little kind of daughter card or other board here off. And again, like I said, just be real careful here so you're not yanking this guy and ripping that cord off of here. But I did find that you can kind of get this guy to sit in a position that is fairly friendly to work with. And all I did was I threw a piece of Kapton tape, and this again is the back side. The capacitor would have been sitting something like this. By the way, capacitors do have polarity, so do look yours over quick. I believe stripe side on this one, I believe, goes toward the outside of the board, like so. But after I visually inspected it, at first it didn't look too bad. I don't know if you can see this here. It didn't look terrible, but I did notice that slight little bulge right there coming from the middle of what looks like a K there. So I figured, yep, this thing dried out and popped or whatever happened. So I thought, well, let's try and fix it ourselves. So I desoldered it quick. And to desolder it, I probably should have taken the video, of course, but I threw a piece of Kapton tape on here just over top of these little guys so I didn't get any additional heat or I may have, accidentally touched it with the tip of the iron. But your capacitor legs were just these two little spots right here. Maybe I can get this a little closer and show it to you, but the capacitor was just sitting between those two big, fairly easy to service holes there. So I removed it, cleaned it up with a little bit of braid, and then have it waiting. Actually, the original capacitor was a Japanese, I guess it's Rubicon, and I just know from other projects, it's typically you're better off to find a decent replacement versus I do have a bunch of these from Amazon, of course, just a bunch of garbage capacitors from some company called Vent. But anyway, I did have a 2200 microfarad capacitor. It was 25 volt. So just to test it, I held it in place and threw the battery in and powered it up, and to my surprise, it worked. So I have since ordered a pack of 5 of these guys as replacements from eBay. From what little bit of research I did here, this model was a ZL model. I don't have any idea what that meant, but what I do know is I believe they've discontinued this model and they offer a ZLH. And from my understanding is it's exactly the same thing, slightly miniaturized. I'm not real sure if it lost width or height or both or whatever, but it is a ZLH model, and from my understanding, it has a longer life to it, which is great. The only difference is I guess audiophiles don't recommend the ZLH model, but in this scenario, it's not important whatsoever. So I got a couple of these coming on the way. I'll solder it in and maybe show you that I do got it back up and running, but I did test it after just holding it in place, and it did boot up and work. So hopefully this will help one of you guys out if you end up having an Etrac that you turn on and doesn't want to boot.